sharing my screen. Hopefully you can see it too in a moment. But yeah, thank you, Catherine, for welcoming me today for this session. I'm really glad to be able to tell you guys more about procurement and particularly with the federal government, and also hope you are ready by the end of this session to, get your foot in the door and try bidding on some opportunities because it's a huge untapped market, and really would like to share that with women-led businesses and women entrepreneurs that are here through Canadian Women's Chamber of Commerce, who I'm glad is able to host this session for us today. Thank you again. So if everyone can see my screen, just like a quick thumbs up, I think it's showing. Yeah. So I'm bringing this to you. It's a seminar that we've developed here by Procurement Assistance Canada, and we are an office that was created as part of Public Services and Procurement Canada. It used to be called Office of Small and Medium Enterprises. So maybe you've heard of us or worked with us before or sought our services in the past, but we're really still the same office, and we're here to support smaller and diverse businesses in the federal procurement process. Our role is to engage with businesses of all sizes to assist you and inform you on how to sell your goods and services to the Government of Canada. And the way we do it is basically by helping reduce procurement barriers, trying to listen to businesses and listen to your concerns, answer any questions, help you understand the procurement process through one-on-one calls with businesses, hosting free seminars, and basically being out at events and engaging with suppliers and potential suppliers. So we're a government unit that works to grow awareness of and access to procurement opportunities for diverse suppliers and bidders. And this is one of our priorities for this year. We just are trying to reach out to more underrepresented groups that run businesses, such as women, multicultural led businesses. There's LGBTQ plus, and also Black led businesses. So there's a few, as well as Indigenous, which we've always had as one of our priorities, but we do have a target now that is outlined for Indigenous led businesses, and that's at least 5% of all our contract values have to go to Indigenous led businesses. So there's a few underrepresented groups we're trying to reach out more to this year due to our mandate, and that's what we do. But let's talk about all the potential opportunities available to you and why it's important to share this information. So each year, the Government of Canada spends billions of dollars, precisely about 23 billion annually, on thousands of contracts, making well over 1 million direct credit card purchases. And this represents a huge potential market for small businesses such as yours. It's really beneficial for you to tap into these smaller dollar value contracts that we tend to engage in. So we do at least $2 million credit card transactions each year, and that's a space that you could be a part of. One of the common myths we hear is that, a lot of businesses think they're too small to compete and that the government does not buy from smaller businesses. Well, if you think about, the small percentage of contracts for big ticket items, and those are the ones that you hear about in the media a lot, then you're probably right. There are only a handful of companies around the globe that, can manufacture and sell fighter aircraft. So it makes sense that we buy from them and you hear about it in the news, but there's so many other contracts, like the majority of the ones we award are valued at under $25,000. Almost all of those go to small and medium-sized businesses. And in terms of credit card purchases, which are direct purchases that we make from vendors, they are typically valued at under $10,000. A lot of those are also going to smaller Canadian companies. So these credit card purchases and the under $25,000 contracts are really, small companies are well positioned to take on these types of contracts and provide to the Government of Canada the majority of goods and services that are needed each year. Even if you're a sole proprietor, you're also welcome to apply. Whether it's you as a consultant, you're also welcome. We're here to help everybody, and we don't discriminate against anyone. So as long as you are a registered business with a business number and you're based out of Canada or you have some presence in Canada, you're welcome to apply for these contracts. Another myth that we hear is that, the Government of Canada only does business with large corporations. Like I said, it's not true. The truth is we buy more goods and services from micro, small, and medium enterprises than we do from larger companies. And small companies vastly outnumber larger corporations nowadays with our contracts, because their competitive edge comes from offering a wider range of specialized products and services, and also just from being local and innovative. It makes sense to buy from smaller companies. So of all the contracts that we manage here at PSPC, 52% of the total contract value was awarded to smaller businesses in fiscal year 2019-20. And that's just from the numbers that we've noticed that. And in terms of being innovative, the federal government also has a number of innovation programs, such as the one offered by the Department of National Defense, which I'll talk about after some of these slides. You'll hear about it. It's called a program called Ideas. And there's also another one offered by Innovation, Science, and Economic Development, which is formerly Industry Canada. It's a program called Innovative Solutions Canada. So these programs basically allow startups to sell new products to the government of Canada that aren't on the market yet, and hopefully get the first sale, and also further refine the technology to a state where it's ready to be sold on the market. So these programs each help you do that, and they're really neat. So if you are in that innovative space, do check them out. But yes, this is another myth that I'll talk about here. If you think the government of Canada doesn't buy from companies like yours, well, you might be mistaken to think that, because the government of Canada has been working to make it easier for all kinds of suppliers to do business with us, including those that have little to no experience at all with the process. So that's where we come in our office. It's part of our mandate to conduct social procurement. And over the last 5 years, it's really ramped up. Like I said, we have these priority groups. We're trying to be more inclusive in our supply chain and welcome underrepresented companies. So if you want to find out more, it helps to research our government's current priorities and mandates. And ultimately, it is all based on demand and supply. So you'll see that, we do post our tenders based on when there's a demand for such a good or service. And then there is a process that's outlined, but, it does have to be followed, because it is a competitive process for a lot of the tenders out there. But we've also been trying to make procurement that are for those low dollar values, and the larger values as well, just easier in general, and hopefully faster and more accessible, so that it's less burdensome for businesses, because we do understand you don't have much time on your hands these days to read our lengthy documents, and we are trying to make them more streamlined. So that's something that our office is constantly trying to do. And we've also experimented with pilot projects recently to increase opportunities for businesses run by groups that have been, underrepresented. We're trying to reach out to more visible minority-led businesses, persons with disabilities, and social enterprises. So all of those underrepresented groups that I mentioned before. And we're trying to encourage departments also to find ways to increase the value of their contracts that they award to Indigenous businesses, so that they can meet that 5% target. And we're constantly trying to expand opportunities for buying green goods and services, so that, government is making environmentally friendly purchasing a focus of ours. And we're hoping to meet those goals as well. But yeah, if there's still questions about, whether the government buys what you sell, well, let me separate fact from fiction. I mean, it's true the government tends to buy a lot of office supplies, military equipment, icebreakers. You hear about those things, but we also buy, just about every other thing, really: food, all types of training, exercise equipment, plumbing supplies, golf carts, bicycles, veterinarian and health services, and so much more. So both in the goods and services area, we have tons of things that you may not know we buy until you actually go on canadabuys.ca and do a little search just for some keywords relating to your goods or service, and you might see something pop up. So even if you don't see it pop up at this time, it's always good to keep an alert on, so you get notified if we ever do buy it in the future, or to keep searching, really, if you don't want to set the alerts. But you really won't know what we're buying until you invest some time to see our marketplace and search through Canada Buys. Next myth that we hear is, the government procurement is too difficult and time consuming. Well, 10 years ago, I would probably have agreed with you. And it's true, there are different rules and policies that do have to be followed in our procurement processes, but a lot has changed. Real progress has been made to improve your experience as a supplier and to encourage you to participate. So like I said, some of the improvements include, being able to submit bids electronically for some contracts. So that's kind of new for government. I know we're a bit slow, but we are able to do that for a lot of our contracts now. And electronic bidding has been introduced more and more in the newer processes. So getting paid faster is another one. Companies are now able to get their invoices paid within 15 days, which is something new that we've piloted, and it seems to have benefited a lot of SMEs. And there are more improvements ahead to make the process easier and faster for suppliers to do business with us. So eventually, contract paperwork will be more simplified. It's still an ongoing process because there's always language being added to it each year, but also being taken away. But we do have to make sure all our federal laws, Treasury Board policies, and all those clauses are in there. So a lot of it is standard wording that you'll get used to seeing in every contractual document. So you can eventually learn which ones to skip reading and which ones are really just there. But otherwise, I mean, we have a team that's trying to reduce the barriers in terms of the bidding documents. So that's always a work in progress for us, but we're trying to make that more streamlined. And it can be difficult, but not everything will come easy, as we have to all understand, because it is government taxpayer dollars that we're spending at the end of the day. So there has to be some competition in our process and some guidelines on how the competition is run and how everything's evaluated. So that's where all the language comes up. But we're constantly trying to make improvements. So hang in there, and we'll get better. So another myth here that we hear is, government procurement is too centralized. Well, if I had to explain to you how many government departments and agencies we represent, there's a whole list of them, because we are the buying arm for many, many departments and agencies, and you may have heard about a lot of them, but they're not all just based out of Ottawa either. So like a lot of our government departments and agencies operate all across the country and also in many different other countries, such as Global Affairs Canada, which has, your missions and embassies worldwide. So you could be even selling to them. But you should think of the government of Canada as hundreds of potential clients, because we're all kind of based in different geographic locations, such as our CMP posts in the north. There's Canadian Armed Forces bases all across the country, and some in remote areas, and they might need a whole range of services such as janitorial services, landscaping, or snow removal, and the list goes on. So we're not really just one organization that you're selling to a whole bunch of different customers that could be anywhere really in Canada as well as abroad. So here's a quick overview of the term competitive procurement that I keep mentioning. You've heard it a few times now. So what is it exactly? Well, for the purchase of goods of over $25,000 and for $40,000 for services, we do have to go to a competitive tender process. And this is where the government will issue a public notice, which is known as a tender notice. And tender notices are published on our website, canadabuys.gc.ca. So it's a new site. It used to be buyandsell.gc.ca if you were used to using that, and then Merck's well before that. So we've now gone over to Canada Buys, and this is where our formal process is outlined. It's designed in a way to ensure open, fair, and transparent competition for all of our contracts. So basically, this is when the government lays all of the cards on the table by publishing a document that outlines, who has the requirement, what they require, where and when the goods and services are to be delivered, and how we intend to pick the winner. So anyone capable of delivering on the requirements is able to take the time to prepare a bid, has a fair shot at winning the contract. So eventually we do have to hold this, do it all as a fair and competitive process, because we are responsible for spending taxpayer dollars. So we need to be certain we're buying based on best value for the Crown and the taxpayers here. So that's why it has to be this process that's published publicly. For the low dollar value procurement that I also mentioned, any contract for under $25,000 for goods and below $40,000 for services are usually awarded using some kind of competitive process, but it can be a much less formal process, likely along the lines of requesting 3 quotes from local companies rather than doing the whole 35-page tender notice approach. So this is when the government will identify potential suppliers using supplier lists, or going to industry associations, or just by simply Googling. And for purchases under $10,000, those are the credit card ones, the process can be even less formal. Often it's as simple as just picking up the phone and buying something or doing an online purchase. So if you want to tap into these multi-billion-dollar markets, you need to be proactive and make sure buyers know where to find you, such as by having an online presence. Another way is like just by kind of engaging with government employees or finding them on government electronic directory service. Uh, and that's our directory there where you can find people by their job title and offering them your goods and service. But it involves a bit of cold calling upfront for these lower value, dollar value contracts. So it's a bit more legwork, but it's possible to get a few of these in a year once you kind of get the hang of it. So how can you figure out if selling to the government is right for you? Well, if you're still lost, it might be worth it to just go on canadabuys.canada.ca where you can access all the tenders that are on there because it is the authoritative source for our federal government tenders at this time. And you will see some municipal tenders as well as provincial ones also show up on there because we do centralize and publish all of them. So it's helpful to go on there. And you don't have to register to search, just run a search using keywords. But if you do want to set the alerts and everything, it's helpful to register for an account. And you can also search by GSIN code or the UN standard product and service codes. So I could do a walkthrough of that if you ever need on a one-on-one meeting. So happy to schedule that and show you how this website works. But you can also subscribe to notifications so that you don't have to keep searching once we do a walkthrough there. But like I said, we've been trying to transition over from one site to the other. So buyandsell.gc.ca is still a great source for detailed federal procurement information. So if you're still lost and you want to learn like how to register for as a supplier, for example, you want to find more information about upcoming events, seminars, that kind of thing, you might still find it on buyandsell.gc.ca. But for the most part, our tenders have moved over to canadabuys.canada.ca. So we're still doing some transitioning there. And you may see some tender opportunities that require electronic bidding, but that will usually redirect you to another site called SAP Ariba, and that's a site that is used by the US government administration office as well, like their procurement agency. So a lot of procurement bodies use SAP Ariba. You might have an account on there already, but if you don't, it's worthwhile to create one and sign up for that as well. So that when you get redirected, you're able to bid on opportunities through that. So that's how you do electronic bids through SAP Ariba. So how can our office still assist you? Well, we're here to give our free seminars and webinars such as this one here. We're happy to schedule one-on-one sessions. We have a 1-800 national info line where you can call and a real person can also assist you over the phone. But yeah, through our one-on-ones, we can do screen sharing and like really assist you and guide you on looking at procurement opportunities. So these are our cycle of free webinars that we run through every Wednesday of the month, and they repeat every month. So if you're interested in, let's say, how to obtain security clearance, there's a great session there on the fourth Wednesday of the month. So it's a good idea to take them all eventually in the order that they're offered. But if you miss one, it'll be back again the following month. So just keep an eye open for our seminars. And this is also published online on our website, the schedule. But yeah, thanks for attending this portion of the presentation. We have 6 regional offices. I'm from the Ontario regional office, which is based out of Toronto, and I have colleagues at these other regional offices as well. If you're located there, you can definitely reach out to them and they can assist you and guide you along with more localized resources and information. But in terms of next steps, if you're still not sure, you can download this Getting Started guide. Once I share the slides, you'll have this link. So happy to share them as well if you need to click on that link and get started using that guide. But I'll cover the IDEAS program now, which is the program I mentioned that's brought to you by the Department of National Defense and the Canadian Armed Forces. I'll gloss over this really quickly because it is an important program, but it's better if you just check out the new challenges that are out there. But I'll tell you a bit about it before I show you the new challenges that just got launched last week or 2 weeks ago, I believe. Yeah. So this program is an access to innovation program, and it helps transform the defense and security challenges being faced by the various partners of DND and the armed forces, such as Air Force, Navy, and Army, Special Forces, all of those guys, into innovative solutions to improve Canada's defense capabilities. And it was a program that was announced in 2018, and they were given 1.6 billion over 20 years to deliver on this mandate to advance defense capabilities for our national armed forces. And this equates to about $85 million per year that they're giving away through various calls for proposals and different challenges that they're running. So it's a call for all Canadian innovators, from defense primes to academia to small and medium sized enterprises, not-for-profits, municipal, provincial, territorial entities, and even individuals. So really anyone is welcome to apply to this program. And if you think you have a solution that can meet their challenge, they definitely welcome you to partner up or do it, put in an application yourself. So on average, applicants have been 54% SME businesses, and there's 27% that have been academia, 16% large industry, and 3 to 4% that were not for profit, and the remaining have been from just your average individuals. So the whole program is fully web-based, and they post their challenges on their website. So I'll go into those for a bit, but these have been some of the topics that they've covered in the recent challenges that they've done. And they've basically realized that in today's climate, technological development and innovation are more often generated by non-traditional players, such as the private sector and academia. So that's why, as the nature of conflicts and threats rapidly evolves, national defense and security systems need to be more inclusive and collaborative and integrated to effectively respond to the threats that are faced by our armed forces. So that's why they've come up with this program, to ensure that the department has access to the best solutions that are out there, perhaps something that might be, unknown to them. So in that extent, this IDEAS program provides an augmentative approach that enables them to tap into extraordinary talent and ingenuity resident in Canada. In order to be successful, the program has these three pillars. They're trying to build a vibrant and engaged innovation community. They're trying to support the development of solutions to Canadian defense and military challenges, and they have different funding tools for doing it. And they're also trying to push technology forward to a demonstrable level that can increase defense capabilities and give innovators the chance to showcase their solutions through their own work. So the way they go about handing out the money has been through various means, but this is how much they've awarded since they've been announced. So 300.7 million has already been committed and spent. More than 612 innovators have been funded, and there's been several, collaborative networks that have resulted from this program. But this is the 5 different ways that they deliver the program. They have competitive projects, which is your call for proposals. They also have innovation networks. They do contests as well, sandboxes, and test driving, which is the final stage where a lot of the products finally get developed to a state where actual armed forces, staff, and military personnel get to use your product and test drive and give you feedback on it. So that's the last stage, but you could basically apply to be in any of these stages depending on which one they have released at the time. So it's a bit clearer once you see them at the end, but I'll go over it. So yeah, these are the 5 different ways of them releasing their challenges again. And the benefits of this program, one of the main one is that, the IP remains with the company. They don't purchase it or anything. It'll stay with whoever developed it, and you can continue to profit from it while the DND and armed forces get to use and benefit from the technology that was developed by you. So that's one really neat benefit. And then this has been a recent challenge that they did, where this company, Sapper Labs Cybersecurity, ended up walking away with $7.5 million in a testing contract, and their product was used by CanSoftCom and the cyber group at DND. And then there's been other companies as well. This one here, Ecopia, they received a $5.8 million contract for having their product go through the process and eventually be used by Canadian Joint Operations Command. So that was really huge for them. And then TerraSense is another company. They also developed some technology that, ended up being test driven for a $10.5 million contract. So these are just some of the real world examples of this program and the challenges that they've completed. Uh, and they do time to time challenges using involving drones. So they'll do another one of these sandboxes um, for the drones counter UAS challenge. So keep an eye open if you're in that space. They haven't released that one yet, but in terms of COVID, when that um, emerged initially, they had 4 health care related challenges released just to tackle COVID-19. So that was in early 2020, and the program tries to keep up and release challenges that are, obviously applicable to real world challenges that are being faced at the time by the armed forces. So from this challenge, there were 4 uh, solutions that were selected and ultimately developed, and then 12 projects went on to receive an additional $1 million in funding. So COVID challenges were super beneficial because they ended up helping the frontline workers that besides just Canadian Armed Forces, it ended up helping actual frontline workers in hospitals and stuff. So they are looking to solve challenges from every possible angle and bring new thinking to the Department of National Defense and Canadian Armed Forces because they realize they don't have it all within the Defense Research and uh, DRDC, so like their research body. So that's why they welcome non-traditional sources of thinking, such as from agriculture, automotive industry, healthcare, any combination really of those areas, because the next technology breakthrough could be from anywhere really. So uh, the next current challenges that they have out at the moment are these 4 here. There's some that are related to the Arctic and austere environment. There's something on human autonomy. So really it could apply to you if you want to find out more. You can definitely click on there and read more about it, but definitely worth checking out because they close on December 20th. So they were just launched a few weeks ago, and they do stay open for a short amount of time, and then they have to evaluate all of the people who submit their applications. But yeah, if you do wish to know about the future challenges that they put out, it's a good idea to subscribe to their email distribution list to get word about those. And if you have any other questions, you can definitely send them to me. But definitely stay posted with this program as they're always coming out with new challenges, and they're trying to give away about 85 million each year. So if you have the next great idea, it could help them change the way they tackle them and the way they deal with challenges in their environment. So definitely um, look out for the next few challenges. But I think that brings me to the end. I don't know if we have any questions in the chat or if anyone wishes to ask me any over Zoom. Happy to take those right now.
Yeah, feel free to raise your hand with the reaction button, or feel free to pop any questions in the chat. Maybe while people are typing, I can ask a question.
Yeah.
I know that, part of procurement assistance, it also sends business to branches of the military. So just what's the difference between kind of the usual procurement assistance and this specific kind of ideas that's focused more on technologies, or can you just clarify?
Yeah, certainly. So we do procurement for the Department of National Defense for basically small items to their larger fighter tanks and like fighter jets, whatever they really need. Those are the larger procurements you'll hear about and see about on Canada Buys. But these challenge-based ones are really very specific and very niche. Like they're just posing the challenge in the form of like a paragraph that's explained on their website. And if anyone can respond to that specific topic and challenge, then that's a separate process. And they end up purchasing your product at the end of it with the help of our procurement staff. So we end up drawing up the contracts at the end. If your product does go through the final stages with them and gets evaluated to be, working the way you're describing it and everything checks out, they will end up buying it at that point. But those are the two different, I guess, having
Perfect.
this
So
like
this
one specific challenge, and then the other one's just kind of like we're looking
visual
for,
stuff.
yeah, our usual purchases. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. That's great. And there's a question
Yeah, no
from
problem.
Elise here as well. She asks, where can we find procurement information around social innovation on diversity, inclusion, and equity?
Yes, so we have a social procurement group that's coming up with the targets for each of those groups. But in terms of looking for tenders specifically aimed at certain social procurement groups that I mentioned, like you won't quite find them just yet, but eventually there will be contracts that are geared towards, let's say, just letting some women businesses apply, or letting certain other underrepresented groups apply. But for now, we only have set asides that you can actually search up for Indigenous businesses because of that 5% target. So if you search Indigenous set aside, or PSIB or PSAB, you can actually see the set asides that are for Indigenous/Aboriginal businesses. So because they used to go by different terms, just in the recent past, we have IB and AB. The two words are used interchangeably still for some tenders, but those contracts you can actually see uh, by searching on Canada Buys specifically with those words, they will show up. Otherwise, in terms of social procurement, we have a website that I can direct you to where uh, the group that's working on it with the targets, they will eventually share more information on there, but I don't have that website at this time handy. I can definitely share it in the chat with you. But yeah,
Yeah, that's awesome. No, thank you. And then we'll definitely reshare with our members. So wonderful.
yeah, this is just the Canada Buys website, but I don't think the social procurement like
Yeah,
section would be on here, but I can definitely find that for you and send it after.
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Catherine. So, Nujat, so are you going to send it via email or something? Like how will you be able to reach me?
Yes.
If you want to leave me your email, I can definitely connect with you after,
Oh, okay.
or you can send me an email. You know what? I'll give you mine, and then
And just to let everyone know, there will be the recording coming afterwards. So we'll be uploading the replay. And then once we have it all uploaded, then we'll send it out to everyone who signed up.
mhm.
And
Mm,
Chad, if you can send me the slides, then I'll include that with the email out too.
Yep, certainly.
okay, that's wonderful. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Anything you can think of? This is your chance.
Mm, I think we have to take a look at the information first. There's so much.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So probably we'll have question after that,
Mhm.
after doing
Well,
that.
happy
We
to
do-
schedule one-on-ones and go through like a walkthrough of the website, because I think a lot of people find that helpful, just showing you where to click and where to get started. But it's a good idea to start by supplying as a register. So that's just by, getting your business number from CRA, making sure you're a registered business in Canada, and then registering on our system with that business number. Those would be your first steps, and then I can guide you from there onwards.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah. Okay, I'll review first and then I'll list down all my question and then go from there. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. And I can like do a quick show here for like just those set aside contracts. Like if you type PSAB on our Canada Buys website,
Mm-hmm.
it shows up with, it just stands for the set aside for Aboriginals. It's PSAB or PSIB if you search for those. But these ones are all contracts that are specifically for Indigenous led businesses if you're one of them. But yeah, there's quite a few that will show up, 16 things right now with that term. Or you can just look up Indigenous. I'm totally spelling this wrong. Wow.
Yeah.
There we go. Set aside for Indigenous businesses. Those are like the words you'd want to search for. But I
Okay.
don't believe there's a set aside for any other group just yet, but we will be announcing them in the new fiscal year once those targets are set by our social procurement group. But yeah, if that's the only set asides we have. But if you wish to find out more about social procurement, you can I'll try to find that link right now.
Yeah, it'd be great if maybe in the new year we can bring you back and, do this again maybe, and then talk specifically about some of those pieces. That'd be wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah, it's still a working policy, but for now, this is the long-winded explainer on it, and just they're trying to work out which underrepresented groups and what targets to set for each. But we don't have the data just yet fully on how much they were engaging in the past, because the previous system wouldn't allow for it. But now, because Canada Buys does allow for that data to be captured, we're slowly going to set our targets based on that. So it's a great idea to get involved now and feed us with that data, I guess. But yeah, that really is the main pitch there. Any other questions?
Okay, well, if not, then we'll let you go for the day. Like I said, just bear with us in the next maybe 5 business days. We'll get the recording out to everybody. And if you have any questions, of course, you can reach out to me at Catherine@canwcc.ca. Let me just spell my name properly here. And for those of you who are members at CanWCC, all this information will also be in the member portal. So if you haven't signed up yet, feel free to go to canwcc.ca/membership. That'll give you access to our member portal and all of our partners in our partner network as well. So I guess for now, Nushat, thank you so much for joining us. Really, really appreciate you putting this together for the group. Feel free to pass it along. And like I said, if you have any questions, reach out and we'll send the replay shortly.
Great. Thank you again, everyone.